Hello class. In this video, I'm going to show you how to pass arrays to a function. By looking at some of the example, let's go ahead and take a look at the code. All right, so let's look at these function prototype. You see that we have print scores and the parameter list are int and left and right bracket and also int. So I hope you remember from previous video that left and right bracket indicate that this is an array parameter. And the parameter name is optional, so you don't have to type it. And let's go on, take a look at get max score. This function, get max score, return an int. And it takes the first parameter is a score list, which is an array of integer. The second element, the second parameter is the size of that array. So most of the time when you pass an array to a function, you need to tell the function the size of the array. Otherwise, it's not possible for the function to know the array size. So that's a common practice. And we have a couple of these functions, get max score, get min score. So in some other video, I went over the algorithm, how to get the maximum score and minimum score in the main program, but we didn't pass the array to a function. So in this video, we're gonna look at how you pass an array to a function. On line 33, I'm declaring a constant capacity and assign value of 50. And line 34, I said initialize my capacity, my score with all 0. I hope you remember the left and right curly braces means initialize everything to 0. The size is the variable that we keep track of how many elements are there in the array. We have an array of 50 elements. It doesn't mean we will use all 50 elements in this array. So normally, you still need to keep track of how many elements you're using in an array, because most of the time we declare an array of maximum size, but we never use all elements in the array. In this case, we are using a while loop to ask the user to input the score. So we keep track of the number of score the user enter by the size, and we tell the user if the user want to quit and stop entering score, the user just type either uppercase letter Q or lowercase letter Q, and this loop will break. You see the while loop condition? It's a while true. Do you know what that means? This is what we call an infinite loop. True is always true, and it can never be false, right? So your loop condition is always true. That means the loop keep going and it never stops. However, most of the time, when we have an infinite loop like this is called infinite loop. That means there is no condition for the loop to stop. When we have an infinite loop, usually we get out loop by a break statement. So when the user type uppercase letter Q or lowercase letter Q, then we break out the loop. So we ask the user to enter a score, and we compare the size with the capacity. If the size is less than capacity, then they take that score that the user enter and assign it to the score array. The question is, why do you want to check this condition? Well, we want to check the condition to make sure we will not exceed the capacity of the array. In this while loop, we have no way of stopping unless the user type letter Q. So what if the user keep entering and doesn't enter letter Q, even though the user exceeds the capacity of the array? One safeguard that we want to do is if the user keep going, we do check. And then if the size is the same capacity, we break out the while loop, stop the user from entering more score. And you see line 47, I'm assigning the score to my array element at the same time. I also increment the size by 1. Or I could have just used the size and then increment it on a separate statement. But that takes 2 statements, right? So it's better to combine the 2 because it's so convenient. So we said assign the integers, assign the score to the score array at the same time also increment the size by 1 when the user enter the score. And after we finish the loop, so either we exceed the capacity or we hit the break statement, then we just list the score that the user entered. Now, this is something new that you are going to learn in this video. We call getMin score. We pass in the array of the score array and the size, and then we get back the minimum score. Same thing for max score. So let's take a look at how we implement getMin score. So getMin score is a function, right? In the prototype, we say this function, we got both getMin and getMax score, take an array of integer, and then the second parameter is the size. So that's exactly what we are telling getMin score and max score. We give it the array of score and also we give it a size. How do we know the size? Well, the size is what we are using up here. So let's look at the getMax score. So getMax score said I'm taking an array of score, and the second parameter is the count of how many score in this array, right? Then the same algorithm that we use, this is the same code we use in some other example where we figure out the maximum score and minimum score in the main program or in the main function by not calling another function. So I don't need to explain this code again. So basically we go to this loop and we're looking for, sorry about that, we're looking for the maximum score. And after we find the maximum score in this array, we just return that max score. And after we return the max score, we assign it to the variable in the caller max score, and then we print the min score, print the max score. So it's the same code that we've seen before in the main program, but we move it to the function. That's all. And also notice that in this code, I have a block comment. This is what I want you to do in your code. I have an example, but I want to reiterate it again. This is a block comment. You explain what your function does. So in this case, I say retrieve the maximum score from the input score array. Param stand for parameter, score in array of score. So in means input. That means this is the input into this function. Count is also an in. That's an input into this function. Count, and then I explain the parameter count is the number of elements in the score array. And the return value, I say return the maximum score in the score array. So that's what I'm looking for in your function comment at the function header. And know that this is just right before the function implementation, not the function prototype. Function prototype, you don't need to do that, but you need to have a block command in function implementation. So let's run this code. This code has a lot of other code after that, but I will go over the sorting in a different video. So in this video, I just want to go over how you pass arrays to functions. That's all. So let's run this code. All right, I'm going to type in some random score, 89, 100, 76, 55. You see, if I keep typing the integer, the program keep asking for more until I type something like lowercase q, that means quit, right? And that's how I get out of my while loop. And let's take a look at the rest of the output after I say quit. The next for loop list is the score that I enter. It's a list of score you enter, right? Up to here. So you notice that the size, we keep track of the size. So this for loop just use the size to control when to stop, even though the array capacity is 50. So we're using only 4 elements in this 50 elements array. And then we call get min score, and we get back the result. We print a min score. Call get max score. We print the result max score. And let's take a look at min score. Min score is also similar to max score, but the only difference is your comparison. You're looking for the score that is smallest in this array. So the max score is 100 and the min score is 55. That's what you see. And then the rest of the code, this is from also in another example. I'm not going to explain it. Another example of how you pass an array to a function is search score, right? Search score said, I'm taking an array of score and the size, you need to tell me the size and what score are you looking for. So if you look at the function prototype, search score return a Boolean value and it takes the list of score or array of score, the size and the target. What are you looking for? So let's look at the search routine. Min score, get max score, max score, min score, search score. Okay, here's the search score. Here's the input array of score, the size, and the target. That's what we're looking for. And the code is similar to what you have seen before in other video where we have this code in the main program, right? But instead of comparing 100, we don't compare with a specific number. What we say, the function said, tell me what you're looking for. And we say we're looking for the score of 100. So if the score 100 is in the array, then we change the flag file equal to true. File is initialized to false outside the for loop. But when we find the perfect score, we break out of the for loop and then we return this flag. So if we ever hit the score 100, then file is changed to true and then we return file. If we never hit the score 100, file is false, and that's what is returned to the caller. So the caller said, we count, we do search of the score, and then we print has perfect score, we say we print that Boolean variable has perfect score. But right here, you see that the number of perfect score is 1, and then has perfect score. The output say 1 on line 76. Why? It's a Boolean variable, right? Well, it's a Boolean variable, but when you display, and C++ usually store the value of 1 into the Boolean variable, store value of 0 into Boolean variable. So when you do cout, and you just say print that Boolean variable, it prints 1. If you want to see true or false, you have to use this format. And I'm gonna comment out this line and uncomment this line. I'm gonna rebuild, rerun, and this time I'm gonna enter the score without 100, and then to see the difference output, right? I'm gonna save and rerun. Okay, so enter score. Let's say I enter really low score so that the minimum will be something like 5, right? Just enter some random score. But this time, I will not enter 100, so there's no perfect score. And I say quit. Okay, so let's see what the output looks like. Okay, so I enter this mini score. This is what I enter. 4 score. Minimum score is 5, maximum is 89. That's from the function, right? The number perfect score is 0 because we don't have any 100, right? And notice that has perfect score Boolean variable. This time it's a false instead of 0 or 1. The difference is if you want to display true or false, you have to use this option on your cout. And cout, before you do cout your Boolean variable, you set Boolean alpha. That means display the Boolean as alphabet characters. So where does that come from? If you go back to the beginning, this is what I have in my include IO stream. I also say using std Boolean alpha. So that's what I need to display or to use that Boolean alpha in my list. The rest of this example is the sorting, which I will go over in a different video. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching.